Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm going to be showing you how I got this look using all of my favourite products for the month. I thought I would kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone because I wanted to show you my favourites for January 2018. Also, a few of you asked about the makeup I was wearing in my Christmas haul, and also one of the posts that I made on Instagram had some questions about what I was wearing. So this is the look that I was wearing in that video, which has kind of been my go-to for the year so far, using all of my favourite things. So without further ado, let's get started. My first favourite of the last month, I guess, because I got it for Christmas, was my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. It is lovely. I would say that the shadows to me are not as blendable, I guess, as the Modern Renaissance, but the colours are stunning, and it is blendable. It is easy to blend. It's just not as easy as the Modern Renaissance. And also I'd say some of the shades, this one in particular, which I thought was probably the one that I was never going to use because it is like a very vibrant purple, and I am like boring and scared of bright shadows and colour on my eyes. So I thought I'd never touch it, but I just kind of experimented with it the other week, and it's actually much more muted than it looks, which for me is a good thing because I can use it, but for lots of people, if you're expecting it to be like this on the lid, it really, to me, is much more muted than it looks in the pan. So yeah, but my favourite kind of go-to combo for like every day has been to use Musk, which is this sort of taupey shade here, Oud, which is like a reddish brown, really beautiful shade in the crease. And then I put Cashmere on my lid, which is like, again, a sort of cool, like taupey shade with a bit of a shift in there. So that is what I'm going to be popping on my lids today. So starting off with Musk, I think with the Modern Renaissance, obviously it has a lot of kickback, which this doesn't. So that is a good thing about it. But you don't get as much colour payoff straight away. So if you don't have this palette, a good dupe for this shade would be Max Kid, and also the warm taupe shade out of Modern Renaissance. So next up, the Oud shade, which is this shade up here, which is like a really beautiful reddy brown. And this one does have quite a bit of kickback and is really pigmented, and it is a really like unique shade. If you're looking for something similar, I would go with like Makeup Geek's Cocoa Bear, or maybe even Bitten. I'm just going back in and blending that out. What I really love about this palette is the fact that you can literally do like an everyday really muted look, and you can do a literal like crazy off the scale Instagram perfect look, and everything in between. There's like something for every day, every mood. And then I'm just going to pop Cashmere on the lid with my finger, because that's just the best way to like get these foils to really pop. You could always use a damp brush as well, with some Fix Plus or something. A good dupe for this shade is Glamour by Coloured Rain. That's one of my favourite singles of all time. And then I'm just going to finish off by putting a little bit of Desert Sand, this like creamy brow shade, on my brow bone. I love it when they include a brow bone highlight that's not shimmery in these palettes. Nothing new with mascara. My favourite of all time, my favourite for the foreseeable future, is the Lancome Monsieur Big, so I'm just going to go in with some of that. As you all know, Fenty's primer is my absolute bomb favourite of all time, but it has started to run out on me and I'm so scared. So I have recently been mixing in some of the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance. This is the yellow shade, and I've been using this where I can to try and save my Fenty for like special occasions. And I really like this under matte foundations as well, because it is really nice and hydrating. Oh, and while my hands are up here, thanks to Holly Boone, because she recommended this nail varnish, which is the shade 130 from Maybelline. Rose, I think is the name of it, and it is so pretty. It's what I've got on my nails today. So for foundation, I was a little bit torn because I feel like January has been like the month of foundations that I have just loved. My favorite is absolutely the Nars Natural Radiant foundation. I also really loved the L'Oreal Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick, which I have a video on and will link down below. In the video where everyone was asking me what I had on my face, it was a matte foundation, and this is my all-time favorite matte foundation. This is the Dior Forever Undercover, and it is lovely. Ever wanting a like full coverage matte foundation, this is what I'm reaching for at the moment. Always apply this with a brush, because if you saw my review, it just disappears if you use a sponge, and you just can't. You have to use a lot of product to get your coverage versus a brush. Because this is also just such a good shade match for me, and that just makes such a big difference of like how you feel about a foundation is like your shade. I've had foundations before that I've absolutely been obsessed with, but just can't get the shade right, and in the end I just give up on them because I just think, you know, it's never going to look as good if it's not a close enough shade match. This is the shade 21, and it's a really nice match for me at the moment. Just going over that with a beauty blender because I definitely went a bit heavy, so I'm just trying to pick up any excess. As far as matte foundations go, like this just looks really natural and lightweight. I thought it was going to be like such full coverage, like a mask, but it really isn't. And actually I sort of tend to like have to build it up to cover my redness, which is absolutely fine, especially if you get 40 mils in the pot. The only slight bugbear I have with the Nars foundation is that it doesn't match me perfectly. Like I really struggle to get a match with Nars because I feel like in the summer I'm Stromboli, and I'm never quite fair enough to use Fiji. I think eventually I will purchase those two shades because in the summer I'm going to need a darker shade than Punjab, which is what I'm using now, because that's as close as I can get, but it's just not yellow enough for me. It's just slightly off with the undertone because it has that peachy undertone. But yeah, Stromboli is perfect because it's olive, which is what my skin tone is, but it's just a little too dark. But I think, you know, in the summer I'll need that one, and then I can mix the two. So this is like as close as I think I've ever got to a perfect shade match, which is really good to know because I love the Star foundation as well for more natural, like luminous look. So now I know that this is a really good shade for me in the winter, I know I can use any of their foundations in this shade. So actually another Holly Boone recommendation, which is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. The coverage on this is amazing. However, I would not recommend this concealer if you have mature skin or a real concern is fine lines, because it does crease on me throughout the day. When I think I tested this out, it didn't crease during the video, but like a few hours after I have this on, it does start to crease a little bit. And most concealers do crease to some degree. This for me is like on a par with the Shape Tape. It's got the same amount of coverage, but it creases like the same amount as that one. I know lots of people love the Shape Tape, but on me it does crease. But it blends out amazing, and the coverage is amazing. So I can kind of get over the small amount of creasing. I think when I swatched this is the shade C5, and I had to buy it blind because there was no testers out when I went to get it, because it was like literally just being put on the shelves. So I just bought the shade I think that Holly used, and it is a bit pink when I swatched it, but once it's on, I really like it. I think it's quite brightening, but it's not like crazy in your face under eye. It's just like a really nice shade for me. And I'm using Patrick's powder. So this is Patrick Starrr and Max setting powder, which I think is sold out in the UK, and I'm really hoping there's some kind of plan for this, because this is my favourite powder of all time. It has literally blown my RCMA out of the water. I've not touched it since I picked this up. I'm obsessed with it. I love the colour of it. I love the finish of it. It's so smoothing. It doesn't have like a white cast under flash. and it doesn't look heavy under the eye, and it doesn't feel like powdery. That's probably the one thing with the RCMA that like, it did feel heavy under my eye, particularly if I baked with it, whereas this just feels like nothing. And if you bake with this and then like dust it away, there is no trace of it left, whereas I feel like the RCMA, you could still see a bit of like whiteness there. Kind of going to contour today. I don't think I had contoured in that video, but I just want to show you one of these L'Oreal sticks. So this is the shade Caramel 220. I just want to show you, if you've not seen my review of these, but I will link it down below if you want to see the whole shebang. But they are just so easy to blend out, and they really do last really well. Like when I use the foundation, it lasts a good like 8 or 9 hours before it's like causing you a problem. They blend so nicely. I love how handy they are. You get a huge amount in here. You get 9 grams of product, which is a very large amount. But it just blends like a dream, and you just end up with a really natural finish, because it is quite a natural finish. This, I know they say that they're matte, but I really do not find that at all. I find them really natural with actually quite a lot of luminosity to it. When I use it as a foundation, it actually ends up very dewy on me. I'll link the review for these down below so you can see me use the whole lot of them. One of my big discoveries this month, because it was a Christmas present, is the MAC Next to Nothing powder. So I got, for Christmas, I got the shade Medium Plus, which was a bit dark for me. So I picked up the shade Light Plus as well, and I used the other one in the summer. I've never really been a person to like set my face. So I have normal skin, I don't really get oily, so I've never really felt the need to, and I don't really like a lot of powder on my skin because I feel like it looks a bit heavy and powdery, especially if you don't have like oily skin, some oils to sort of settle it down. This just looks so luminous, so natural, so like skin, especially like when I use like this foundation that is quite matte. It really brings life back to the face, and it really does not look heavy, it does not look powdery. So I've literally been like setting my face like really regularly, which I never thought it would be something I would do. And it does also help like with powder products going on top of foundation as well, which I like, but I've just never found a powder like this that I like, that looks natural, that looks luminous, that doesn't mattify all my luminous foundations, which is my bugbear with the powder, because I want some dew. And it also helps like your products wear as well, because you set your base. So that was a big discovery for me. So a big rediscovery for me this month, something that I haven't really used that much lately, which was the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Glow With It. So this is, I think, actually supposed to be a highlighter for like deeper skin tones, but I use this as a bronzer, and it is the most gorgeous bronzer ever in my opinion. It is an actual real bronze shade. So it's not too warm, it's not too cool, and it is mega luminous without any like glitter or really like shimmer. It just looks really luminous, and it's this really gorgeous texture as well. It just is like a dream to apply, really smooth, really beautiful, and I just find it like almost does like a contour for you as well, because it isn't too warm. I only really use like a bronzer as glowy as this when I've got a matte base. I washed my 135 last night, and I literally can't tell you the difference when those brushes are clean. So can you see that? It's just like really luminous, but it's not glittery. Obviously under the lights it's like as exaggerated as it's gonna be, but yeah. Where's this hair coming from? I tend to keep it quite high up on my cheeks. I feel like that really sculpts the face a little bit if I don't sort of bring it too close to the center of my face. It kind of gives you a bit of a extra bit of contour. So I kind of like to apply the most right up by my hairline and just blend it out up there and like leave the center of my face quite clean. Just quickly going to dip back into my Modern Renaissance and that musk shade and go under my lower lashes. I'm a bit torn because I think the blush I had on in the video that everyone was asking me about was the Asos Unbothered blush, which is just this gorgeous peachy luminous blush, which I love. But my kind of favourite of the month has been MAC's Hard to Get, and I've had this for a while, but I bought it in the summer, and as you'll see, it looks quite intimidating as a blush because it does look so dark for like my skin tone. So I just like braved it the other day, and it's so pretty, and I just use a really small amount. It just looks absolutely beautiful. Obviously, if you have darker skin tone, you can just use this with a heavier hand, but here it is here. It's just really glowy, beautiful, coppery sort of blush, but yeah, it blends out beautifully, and as you can see, you can get a really subtle shade of it, and once you use a tiny amount, it kind of reminds me of like Nars's Madly. So I think this is the one that people were asking about. I'm going to use this one today, but this is like my all-time favourite affordable blush, and I like this one because it is just so foolproof. Like I literally will like go ham in the pan, but it just never looks too much on the cheek. It's just that beautiful soft peachy shade, and because it does have a bit of glow, it just really brings your face to life. So I know this is going to shock people, but I did not have highlighter on in that video because I was about to film a highlight video, so I didn't have any highlighter on, but I actually like not having highlighter on. You can see it looks like I do because I've used the like luminous bronzer and I've used a luminous blush, so there's really no need for me personally to go in with any more highlight. Maybe I would just highlight my inner corners. In fact, maybe I might just highlight my inner corners, and I'm gonna, just so I can show you another one of these L'Oreal sticks, which is the shade Frozen, which is one of the highlighters, and it's this gorgeous, like iridescent white with a like lilac-y type shift. So I'm just going to use that in my inner corners. But yeah, when I've got like some glowy products on my cheek, I don't really feel the need for highlighter all of the time because it does, you know, exaggerate texture. So in that video, I didn't have any highlighter on. Shock. So then I'm just going to go in with some Fix Plus to de-powder. You know when your Fix Plus is running out and you suddenly start getting an absolute soaking? Yep. So the lip combo and my, like I had on in that video, and that has been my favourite like all 3 weeks. The MAC's Cork Lip Pencil with Jeffree Star's Celebrity Skin. I have loads of Jeffree's liquid lipsticks, but this is my first regular lipstick of his, so I really didn't know what to expect. But this has literally become like my favourite go-to nude because it is just perfect for my skin tone, I think. It smells like sweets. Oh, so nice. I will say it is like quite matte lipstick, so it can be a bit drying over the course of the day. So there you have it. This is the finished look with all of my favourites for the month. I hope you found this helpful or useful in some way, and please don't forget to like and subscribe before you go because I would love to see you again. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.